All right, man. So we was talking. We were at the point where you were saying how living in Cleveland, growing up, 142nd, 143rd. You say
146.
146.
Right.
Your father was in the military, and y'all would sometimes go from Cleveland to Chicago,
So
spring break, winter breaks, or whatever.
right. No. So what happened was my grandmother sent my father up here because he got in trouble in Chicago, and then that's where he met my mother, and had me, and my father ended up joining the military, and then he had another kid, but they couldn't make it work right. They just couldn't get along with each other. And so what happened, so after that, my father went back. So every Christmas and every summer, we would go to Chicago, back and forth all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular time in the 6th grade, I was always, you asked me about jumping off the porch. I was always slippery anyway. It wasn't wherever I could see a corner or a crack, I was in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
But what age was this though?
oh man, I'm talking about 11, 12, back then we was, stealing and all that, but this particular time when I was in the 6th grade, I can't remember, but I fucked around and had sex with a lady that was old enough to be my mother.
Wow.
And so this is how I got turned out.
Man.
I'm gonna put the twist on it. You ready for it?
Right,
so here's the thing is, I can't. Well, it was the first time, I had dibbled, but I never. This was the first time that it was a complete full. The lady, I had some sex one time and I had some dope, and the second time I came in there and she was hitting the pipe, I'm like, let me hit it too.
11, 12 years old?
I was in the 6th grade, man. 1983. I'd never forget that shit, the summer.
Man, say getting molested.
I wasn't molested, nigga. I was getting it in. I was getting freaky then. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't. Hey, look, that ain't molesting when you come knocking on the door with the back in your hand, like, what's up? It's a fair exchange. Okay. Ain't no robbery, man. And Bartle, Bartle is one of the number one things in the world. You give me this, I'll give you that. Beginning of the time, man. We talking about 1700s, man.
They say
so hey, look, we ain't gonna put the stigma on the lady, man.
Yes,
she was working with the best she can.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
that's how it started for me.
Okay. So, man, you talking 11, 12 years old, man. So I know me and you was around the same age, so that's like the early 80s. Or maybe 93. You just made 53?
February 10th.
Okay,
my daughter made 32.
So you mind if I tell you, so you born what year?
February 1971.
71. Yeah. So 71. So 11 years old, that had to have been 1982.
I was 13. I was actually 13 when I hit that thing.
With a bet.
Got it in.
Yeah. So she schooled you.
Hey, man, look here, man. I'm telling you, at will and choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's when my life had changed.
Yes, sir.
I learned I was already managed and scrambling, but when that happened and I'm in Chicago, it wasn't hard for me to adapt to what was around me because that was all that's there, man.
Can we talk about Chicago a little bit?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, I appreciate it, man, because I have been watching a few, YouTube channels, watching some stories about the Cabrini Green projects and the history of Chicago and why they tore them down, why they built them, how they displaced black people, this, that, and the other, and how it was different sets. I don't really want to get into the names of me personally. You can mention however you want to mention the names of the organizations that are in Chicago that was doing the what I want to say. I don't even want to call it. The organizations being who they were in the streets of Chicago. I'll say it like that. But so being a teenager, running backwards and forth to Chicago, what was that like for you?
Well, first of all, Chicago is segregated racism.
Yeah.
And segregated racism, you got black, whites, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, everybody got their own, they segregated.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in a segregated society, based on all these different cultures, that's the people, the minorities, and then you got the other people. So the black gangs, like the Latin King gang was Lord Gino, was on the North Side. Latin Kings was originated from Chicago because those people had to stick together because you had oppressions. So you got the Latino gang was originated, then you got the Black Gangster Disciple Nation was another gang, and then you had Vice Lords. All these different type of people was made, and the Vice Lords was the first gang that had a 501c. Then you had the El Rookins. All these organizations, they didn't create the gangs that they was trying to take over. They was trying to survive and not being oppressed.
Right.
Because Chicago was made like that. It's a cold city, colder than a Dauphine titty. And so you got all these organizations like that.
Right.
You know, so that's how that came about.
So for the people that don't know, hey, listen, I've said it before. Don't come to me and give me no information because I'm gonna give it away for free. It's that simple. Free game. The 501c3. I wish I had knew about that when I had a clothing store back in the day. I would have did something different in my neighborhood. So with the 501c3, like you mentioned, with some of those organizations in Chicago, they have 501c3s. Can you explain a little bit of what a 501c3 is? Or
okay, so the 501c3 is considered a nonprofit organization where people do business, whatever they trying to do business. And so those particulars, and then there was other organizations too that had that. Oh yeah, it was other organizations that had those type of businesses because they were doing things in the community. Like the Black Panthers had the WIC program. They started that.
right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they were feeding the communities. And then the Vice Lords was doing the same thing. They had a 501c. They was trying to open up business and give brothers jobs and talking to the positive kids. You know, all these organizations was doing that right now. And even with Larry Hoover is another guy that they were positive. See, what happened was, so now here's the thing is, we take our neighborhood, we establish an organization based on the way it's set in the community for survival.
Right.
So now we'll protect ourselves. However, those organizations got people that's going to do positive and people that's going to do negative because they own man. However, if they go left field and they're not part of the organization, all the organizations always went back and say, hey man, you can't represent us no more because this is what we doing in the community. So you got some knuckleheads. But make a long story short, they trying to do something because ain't nothing else coming in, man.
Right.
If we don't do it ourselves and take what we got and make something happen right now. Yeah. Brother, we selling water, we selling sandwiches, we selling cookies.
Right.
Something.
So hold that thought right there. We'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. You're
moving a little bit too fast.
Okay, I got it, man.
Some of my questions.
Yeah, it's all good. No trip.
Let's back up a little bit. Let's go back to
the gangs.
No, forget the gangs.
Okay.
We want to talk about more, like you said, moving backwards and forth from Chicago to Cleveland.
Okay.
So when you was getting, because Chicago was way more advanced than Cleveland was. So you getting that knowledge, running backwards and forth, Cleveland to Chicago, coming back in as a youth, adolescent. Then you said the story on how you was able to have an experience with an older female at the age 11, 12, 13.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? So you was getting in kind of early. Back to that point where you was talking about jumping off the porch.
Hey, man.
Yeah, you was most definitely off the porch.
Okay, all right. Well, shit, when you bust a nut, it's on. That's just the bottom line. Right. I don't care what nobody say. Whatever your flavor is, because people do what they do, that's between them two. Whenever you get that part and you do the climation, can't nobody tell you nothing. I'm like Kanye West. Can't tell me nothing. Because now you got your mind set up and those drillings is rushing and you already in an environment. So the first thing you're going to do is go to the skills that you have. And at the present time, I ain't gonna say no name, but there was a guy that blessed me, man. Okay. He blessed me he seen a young guy, and he showed me some things, man. He's still living too, and he eating good. Yeah. But he changed his life too, but he blessed me and showed me and took me up under my wing, and I still talk to the guy. He showed me everything, about the game, and I got in the game, and I was able to. But you know, I always had that one problem that I told you. Right. Remember when I told you what I did with the girl, what she was doing, man. Okay. So that was undercover. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like the first person that recognized it was my baby brother. Okay. Cause you know what I'm saying? He watching me. Yeah. He got his input of his knowledge of what he got. So when he come over and see me moving, he go back into the town and this and that. And then when he come into the town and I'm around a lot and I'm not having it, So then he finally said, damn, he got a hole in this motherfucking tire.
Yeah.
That's why you ain't having no money, because you doing that.
Yeah.
And he took it another way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Now get that from Yeah. So yeah, so you want to go ahead and sell the car, man. I cut you in.
So
don't push the door. Don't push the door. Yeah, so
oh yeah, now tell you, you got the car.
No, this cool,
No,
man.
okay,
You got it.
you're still working.
So I want to back up a little bit too. So I want to get into your story. You mentioned with the female and how you had some experiences with her early on.
Right.
Your younger brother caught on to you. He saw the change in you. But I want to stay in that era right there where I think that's around the time we met during the mid 80s.
Right.
Give or take 85, 86.
That's about the time.
So let's get into that era. Matter of fact, I want to ask you, because you actually answered that question already. Can I keep it 100?
And hey, look, it's something. Hey, look.
Hey, listen. When was the first time you actually seen a crack rock?
Oh man, you know what?
Because when crack hit Cleveland, it was crazy.
So look, check this out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. In 1983, when I had done it, that's when the Rick Ross story was out. It was out then. So when I came to Cleveland, they was getting the 86, but I had tried it at that 83. Remember that? So that's when it hit strong, though.
Yeah, with the female you
doing the
about.
Noriego and the Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper dude.
Right.
The guy, that's the guy that was the history books. That's I got caught right up in that time because you know Chicago was a city too.
Awesome.
You know,